Hey y'all, it's your girl Millie Chun. Carlos King has interviewed Funky Dineva. Let's get into it. So Funky Dineva started off talking about his childhood. He was in private school up until the fourth grade. And so when he made that transition from private to public school, it was kind of foreign to him. And kids would pick on him, push him into the walls and things like that. And he said one day a kid was bothering him in the classroom. He said he turned around and he went off on the kid. And he said he was a little afraid to do that, but the room erupted with laughter and he made the kid cry. And at that moment, he knew words were his weapon. So when Carlos asked him about his parents, he grew up in Florida, Miami, Florida, and he said that his parents were not together, but his father was very present in his life, his mother as well, of course. And he said his father was a very non-emotional person. You know, he was a great provider, but he didn't know like his favorite things or anything like that. But he definitely took care of his son. So Carlos asked him about like when he came out. He said surprisingly his father like already knew it, because when he told him, he was like, you didn't have to tell me that. Like, you're my son and I love you. You could be a serial killer and I would still love you. But his mom, she was the one that had a problem. So he went on to say that not only girls grow into women with daddy issues, but there are men who have daddy issues, right? He said at a young age he started having relations with men. He was 15 and they would be as old as 40. So when Carlos called it what it is, he said he knows that now. He said, but he wouldn't call it that because he was actually seeking it out. When Carlos asked him how did he seek out men, older men at 15, he was like the internet. He went on to say that when he got older, when he was in Atlanta, his first live-in boyfriend was, he was 24 and I think he said the guy was like 46 or something like that. But he said when his dad had come to him and said what he said about accepting him and his lifestyle, he said that immediately left. So to have that older man accepting you after his father said that he didn't need that anymore. And that is probably a really good thing. So he came out to his mom at 23. She kind of wanted to ask him a roundabout way, and then one day he just said, is this my lifestyle? Yes. And he said for about 2 years she was really angry with him, and eventually she came around. He was like, would you rather have a son who has this lifestyle or a son who is no longer here? So she was like, I'd rather have you, right? And I know he's happy because she's passed along and they have a great relationship. And he mentioned before he started talking about this how he misses his cheerleader because his mother thought he was the smartest person and he could do no wrong. And for that, my heart goes out to him. Now, he said that people have a misconception about him. You know, he's a black man, he's a blogger, he's gay, and people feel like he may be a little messy, but he said that could be farther from the truth. He was like, he tells people like, don't bring that to me, because he doesn't want to talk about other bloggers because he doesn't want his name out there. And one thing for sure, like, I love a smart man, and you can tell he is just, you know how he is on his YouTube nights, right? But you know that he is a very smart individual, and I love that about him. So it's always something to learn, right? He said that a good blogger never tells everything that they know. I'm paraphrasing. And that's correct. Like, people have to trust you. You have to build relationships so they can give you some stuff that you can tell, right? But he said he let his blog go because the fact that he would have to expose people for clicks and money was a lot. And an example he gave was a Benzino's situation when someone sent him Benzino's manhood, and then something was going on with Carly Red, and then he had Jock's manhood, and she's comparing them. And then Benzino got mad and said, that's not the real thing. Let me send you the real thing. And he was like, you know what? I'm putting people's body parts out here. I just don't want anything to do with it. That's a lot. So we've talked about him being an accountant before. He did not like his job, but he started off in Facebook telling little stories about his boss and everything. And he said days would pass by and people would want updates about what had happened. He said he was throwing parties around Atlanta, and then when the housewives had come out, he would do little videos and they would be the women on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. He said then he did a video. He was cleaning up. He found a wig and he did a video. My hair is laid. And he said he couldn't post it somewhere, but he decided to upload it on YouTube and send his friends the link. And then he said one of his friends, dared him to put it on Facebook. He put it on Facebook, and he said he got mixed, reviews. The ladies loved it, the guys didn't. People at work, his friends started texting him, calling him, like, what are you doing? You need to take that down. Like, what's really going on? And at that moment, I feel like he knew he had something. He went on to say that he did not intend for this to be a business. Funky Dineva could say things that Quentin couldn't say. And Funky Dineva on YouTube became like his journal, where he could talk about everything that he's been going through in life. And that's usually how it happens. So I also think we have heard this story too, but he was saying that when he was working in accounting, he was really sick and he was out of work until that Thursday. And when he called to say he would just come in that Monday or the weekend, his boss said, this seems like a nice natural stop. We're going to end this relationship here. So he said he had got emails from YouTube. He had finally answered them. He made $40 this time, $80 the next month, because you have to make at least $100 to get paid. So he was like, at that point, he didn't care. So he was getting ready to get his, send his resume out. And he was like, why would I do that? Because I'm not happy here. I'm not going to be happy there. So then he said unemployment was like $1,400 a month in Atlanta, in Georgia. And if he could get that much money from YouTube, he'll be okay. Now, you can't have another. I ain't gonna get into that. Carlos gives him his flowers, and I could not agree more. That is why I had an interview with him, because I wanted him to know that he was my muse, right? Because Funky Dineva is the reason that I do what I do. Because I watched him all the time. I watched the full show, and the show was not the show until I heard his review. Now, yes, does he say some things that he probably shouldn't say? But he said in this interview, he's very direct, and he says the things that need to be said, right? So love him or hate him, he is the blueprint. And you have to give him his flowers, because he is how we all got started. Child, Funky Dineva said he make $50,000 a month on YouTube when he's working, when he's trying. And if not, it's about $32,000. I'm about to quit my job. I'm about to be here for y'all, not 24/7, but at least 15/7. He said that Sheree did sue him. Him and Michelle Brown was friends at that time, but there was also another blogger named Tamara Tattles, and all Funky Dineva did was just stand outside the house and talk right there on the freeway. But the other blogger, she went in Sheree's house, took pictures of her house, doing way too much. So Sheree was like, I'm going to get her and I'm going to get them. He said that it got thrown out, and he had a lawyer who had reached out to him in DeKalb who took his case pro bono. So it worked out perfectly. But that is what we know. That's how he got into TGIF, right? And he said that the three big things that made him walk away was, first of all, he had to clock in. He hadn't done that in 13 years. Everything that was going on, it was always something with Claudia, with Al, emails, phone calls. And then it was the compensation. So I think we knew that a little bit. He also talked about Armand Wiggins, how he was the perfect person for it, and he just needs to mature a little bit because maybe of that debacle that happened with Al. I don't know, but that's what he said. Ultimately, he said the contract broke up over $250,000, and Fox wouldn't even put him or Claudia or Al on the health plan. That's wild. They don't have a health plan. Funky said he was messy when he came back to his channel, right? And started doing 4 nights a week at 8 o'clock, the same time TGIF is on. He brought his people back. He keeps his own money. And you know that the numbers went with him. He said he thought that Armand's roast for Al was gross because he hadn't been at Fox Soul long enough to even know the stuff that he talked about in the roast. So what's next for Funky Dineva? Syndicated nighttime talk. I'm looking forward to that. Talk to you later. Bye.